room, Mother.
All right, then we'll act out in the music room.
Yes, marvellous. Well, don't let anybody come in yet, will you, Mother?
Oh, I think Kay ought to have first choice. After all, it is her birthday, and you know how she adores charades. Mother won't want any of these, because she'd rather look grand, wouldn't she? Spanish or Russian or something. What are you doing?
Good morning, good morning.
Mother told me to tell you not to make too much of a mess in here.
You must have a mess with charades. It's part of it.
Just wait till Mother starts dressing up. She makes more mess than anybody.
What,
Well, tell Kay and Madge to come in, will you, Alan?
Right.
Oh, just look at this. Can you believe people ever wore such ridiculous things?
I can just remember Mother in that, can't you?
Yes, of course I can, infant.
That was Daddy's, wasn't it?
Yes, I believe you wore it that very holiday.
Perhaps we ought to put it away.
Oh, I don't think Mother would mind, no.
Yes, she would, and I know I would. I don't want anybody to dress up and be funny in the coat Father wore just before he was drowned. I wonder if it's very horrible being drowned.
Oh, don't start that all over again, Carol, just when we're having some fun. Why do you?
Don't you often feel like that? Just when everything is very jolly and exciting, I suddenly think of something awfully serious, sometimes horrible. Like Dad drowning, or that little mad boy I once saw with a huge head, or that old man...
No, I'm not listening.
They pop up right in the middle of the jolly stuff, you know, Hazel. It happens to Kay too, so it must be in the family a bit.
You found them. Good. Oh, I didn't think we'd have so many old things left. Mother ought to have given them away.
I'm glad she didn't. Besides, who'd have had them?
Lots of people would have been glad of them. You never realise, Hazel, how wretchedly poor most people are. It just doesn't occur to you, does it?
Don't be schoolmistress, Madge.
Has Gerald Thornton arrived?
Yes, as a matter of fact, he has.
I knew it. I could see it in your eye, Madge.
Don't be absurd. He's brought another man with him, a new client of his who's desperately anxious to know our family.
So he ought to be. Nice?
He's a funny little man.
That's just what we want. Funny little man. Perfect for charades.
No, not that kind. He probably hasn't any sense of humour at all. Very shy so far and terrified of Mother, very much the little businessman, I should think.
Is he a profiteer like the ones in Punch?
Yes, he looks as if he might be. His name's Ernest Beavers.
What a silly name. I feel sorry for his wife, if he has one.
Well, I gather that he hasn't. Well, look here, we ought to be starting. Kay, we ought to be starting.
I know. The others are coming.
Ooh. Oh, there's some good costumes here, ladies.
Oh, one moment, Lord. Thingamy-bob, if I am discovered here, who will believe that my purpose in coming to your rooms tonight, unaccompanied, was solely to obtain the papers that will enable me to... getting all mixed up. Oh, you know, we ought to have had a scene like that, all grand and dramatic, full of papers.
Well, what are we to have?
I've forgotten the word.
Oh, Hazel, you're the limit, and we spent hours working it out.
Well, I didn't, only you and Kay. Just because you fancy yourselves as budding authoresses and actresses.
The word, idiot, is pussyfoot. Puss-see-foot, then the whole word.
Oh, I think 4 scenes are too many. Anyway, they'll easily guess it.
Oh, that doesn't matter. It makes them happy if they guess it.
The great thing is to dress up.
I'm ready, if you are. At last. Oh, that's it. I shall be a Spanish beauty. I know a song for it, too.
What did I tell you? Now, what are we to do?
Now, the first scene, Puss, is an old lady who's lost a cat.
I'm to be the old lady.
But, Mother, you and Hazel are her 2 daughters who are visiting her.
Yes, dear. I know my bit. I keep saying, Mother, I always hated that terrible cat of yours.
Now, I shall be the Spanish daughter, you see. She didn't really have a Spanish daughter, but I suppose it doesn't matter.
Not in the least. Nobody cares. And then I suppose you won't want me to appear in the others because you'll be wanting me to sing afterwards.
Of course, but I'd put you down for 2 more. Oh, Madge and Joan Helford will have to do those.
What a pity Robin isn't here. You know, he wrote and said he might be demobbed any day now. Seems such a pity just to miss your party. Robin loves parties. He's like me. Your father never cared for them much. Always just in the middle, when everything was getting going, he'd take me into a corner and ask me how long people were going to stay just when they were beginning to enjoy themselves. I never could understand that.
I can. I've often felt like that.
But why, dear, why? If you're having a party, you're having a party.
Well, it isn't that, but you feel quite suddenly that it isn't real enough. And you want something to be real. Do you see, Mother?
No, I don't at all. Sounds rather morbid to me, but then your father could be quite morbid sometimes.
Do you think, in a mysterious sort of a way, he knew?
Knew what, dear?
Knew what was going to happen to him.
You know, Alan said that some of the men he knew who were killed in the trenches seemed to know sometimes that they were going to be killed. As if a kind of shadow fell over them. Just as if now and then they could see round the corner into the future.
Extraordinary idea. Are you happy, darling?
Yes, Mother, very happy.
Oh, that's all that matters. I want you to have a lovely birthday. I feel we can all be happy again now this terrible war is over. People are beginning to enjoy themselves and be sensible again, and Robin and Alan are quite safe.
I'll tell them the beginning, and it's 3 syllables.
I think you all look marvellous, but I'm rotten at this, you know, Kay. Don't say I didn't warn you.
Now then, Carol, you start, and remember, only say puss once. Don't you two say it, only Carol.
Now, where are my 2 daughters? Where?
Oh, good old Carol. Now then, you two. Come on, Mother. Now then, Joan. The next syllable is S-Y. So I thought it wouldn't be cheating too badly if we called that sigh. You know, Cockney. I sigh, Bert. So this is an East End scene. Madge, you're the old mother.
Yes, I remembered.
What am I? I forget.
You're Bert. Just put something silly on. Now, is there anything here you can wear, Joan?
Your children and we will take good care of you. We will take you to Granada and sit in the sunshine and dance and sing.
I don't want to dance and sing without my old cat.
I was in London last week, staying with my uncle. And we went to the theatre 3 times. I thought Robin was coming home soon.
He is.
He's an officer now, isn't he? You weren't an officer, were you, Alan?
No, I was just a lance corporal, you know. 1 strike, nothing at all.
What are you doing now? Somebody said you were at the town hall.
I am, yes. In the rate office. Just a clerk, you know.
Isn't it dull?
Yes.
Alan never minds being dull. I believe he has tremendous long adventures inside his head that nobody knows anything about.
Hazel says you started to write another novel, Kay, have you?
Yes,
What did you do with the last one?
burnt it.
What?
It was putrid.
It isn't that an awful waste of time?
Yes, I suppose so.
Still, look at the time you and I waste, Joe.
Oh, no, I'm always doing something. Even though I haven't to go to the canteen anymore, I'm always busy.
Well, you can imagine what happened. Mother let herself go. And of course it became all Spanish. What are you supposed to be, Joan?
Sort of Costa girl.
You look a sort of general mess. Oh, that was very silly, but they seemed to enjoy it. You were very good, Carol. Carol was sweet, Kay.
Now, come on.
Honestly, Kay, I'll be off.
Oh, it doesn't matter. You've nothing to do. Now then, Madge.
Now then, Bert, and you, Daisy, come along or we'll be late.
You weren't going to be an actress, were you? Just a singer?
I don't know what you mean by just a singer. I was a singer, certainly. I did some acting, too. I'd had all you children then.
Mother, Joan did go to London last week and she went to 3 theatres.
But she has relatives there, and we don't. That makes all the difference.
Aren't we ever going?
Yes, of course we will. Perhaps Robin will take us, just you and me, when he comes back.
It said in the paper this morning that we must all get on with our jobs. This rush for amusement has gone on long enough. There's work waiting to be done.
I think that's frightfully unfair and idiotic. Just when we might be having some fun, they go and tell us we've had enough amusement and must get on with our jobs. What jobs?
Rebuilding a shattered world. It said that too.
Well, your job will be to find a nice young man and marry him. That shouldn't be too difficult for you.
Ooh, hurry up, Hazel. Then I can be bridesmaid. I believe you're my only chance. Kay says she won't get married for ages, if ever, because of her writing. Her work must come first.
Nonsense, dear. When the right young man comes along, she'll forget about her writing.
I don't believe she will, Mother. And anyhow, she won't have bridesmaids. But if Madge ever marries, I know it'll be some kind of socialist in a tweed suit who'll insist on being married in a registry office.
That's perfectly true, Gerald. But what the miners want and ask for is simply nationalisation. They say, if coal is as important as you say it is, then the mine shouldn't be in the hands of private owners any longer. Nationalise them, they say. That's the fairest thing.
All right. But supposing we don't want nationalisation, what then? I mean, some of us have seen enough of government mismanagement already.
I mean, oh, how ridiculous they were. Sending bags of sand to Egypt.
Oh, I don't believe half those stories. Besides, they had to improvise everything in a hurry. And anyhow, it wasn't a socialist government.
But how do you know they'd be any better? They might be worse, less experience.
No, I know that experience. We're always having that flung in our faces. All that's needed is a little intelligence and enthusiasm and decency.
I've been conscripted for the next scene to be a general or something.
We haven't got fancy dress for you.
Good.
I mustn't leave them alone any longer, must I? Most of them will be going soon, and we can have a nice, cosy little party of our own.
Well, you must look different somehow. You could turn your coat inside out.
Well, I don't think that would be very effective, do you?
Well, wear an overcoat then.
Oh.
Oh, put this on, and this, and this. It's a very good one.
Do you know who's here? Guess. Who? That awful little man who always stares at you, the one who once followed us all around the park.
He's not!
Yes, I tell you, I distinctly saw him standing at the side near the door.
This sounds like my friend Beavers.
You don't mean to say that the man you've brought is that awful little man? But you're the absolute limit, Gerald Thornton. He's a dreadful little creature.
Oh, he's not so bad. Anyway, he insisted on my bringing him, and your mother said it was all right.
I told you he was mad about you.
But I swear I won't speak to him.
Well, that wasn't much good. The Costas were a washout. Oh, that's all right, Carol. Oh, now, Gerald, you're a general and the others are recruits. Oh, hurry up and put something different on, Alan. Gerald, now you're inspecting them, you know. Oh, make up something silly. And then say to one of them, look at your foot, my man. Anyhow, bring in foot.
Have I only got 2 recruits, Carol and Alan?
No, Mother's sending in another man. They aren't guessing anything yet, but that's simply because it's all such a muddle. I don't think I like charades as much as I used to do. Oh, Dad was marvellous at them.
Oh, Mrs. Conway told me to come in here.
Oh, yes, of course. You've to be one of the recruits in this next bit.
Well, I'm not much good at this sort of thing, you know.
Doesn't matter, just be silly.
Oh, sorry, Beavers, I'd better introduce you. This is Mr. Ernest Beavers, a recent arrival in our progressive city. Now, these are all Conways, except for this young lady here, Miss Joan Helford.
How do you do?
How do you do?
This is Kay, who decided to be 21 today so that we could all have this party.
Many happy returns.
Thank you.
She is the literary genius of this distinguished family. Over there is Madge, who went to Girton and will try and persuade you to socialism.
I'm afraid she won't succeed.
This strange-looking middle-aged young person is Carol.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, Alan, I think you've met. Oh, yes, let me see. This is Hazel. She creates such havoc that when the Leicesters were stationed here, the Colonel wrote and asked her to stay indoors the days when they had route marches.
Well, don't be idiotic, Gerald.
How do you do?
How do you do?
I believe that...
Look, you better do something funny to yourself. Is there anything here you'd like?
Oh, well, I'm sure there is.
Now, Carol and Alan, you start your recruits.
Yes.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way.
Hazel, what did your mother say about removing?
Well, of course you won't think of it. And she's been offered £5,000. 5,000 for this house.
Tell her to take it. I'll bet in 10 years she couldn't get 2,000. It's only this temporary shortage that's forced the prices of property up. You'll see 'em come down with a bang yet.
But of course your door's being here, and so it's hopeless.
If I spoke out of my turn, I'm sorry.
Hurry up, Mr. Beavers.
I'm no good at this, you know, Miss Conway, and it's no use pretending that I am.
But I don't think it's funny, Joan. I'm furious. Cindy, did you hear him? If I spoke out of my turn, I'm sorry.
I think you were rather beastly to that little man.
But I think Gerald Thornton had the cheek of the devil to bring him here, just because he's a new client.
Oh, you're not going to marry him.
I'd sooner marry a ferret.
I don't believe you two ever think or talk about anything except clothes and going to London and getting married.
Oh, don't you start being so grand. The Garden of Stars.
Now shut up, Hazel.
The Garden of Stars. That's the name of the last novel she started. And there are so many pieces of paper with the opening words written on them that I know them off by heart. Marion went out into the still, smooth night. Hazel! There was no moon. But already the sky was silver dusted with stars.
I know it's all wrong, but I tore it out, didn't I?
Yes, my duck. And then you cried.
I've just begun a real one. With some guts in it, you'll see.
I bet it's about a girl who lives in a town just like Newlingham.
Well, why shouldn't it be?
That's quite true,
They
Alan.
can't expect people to behave differently when they've still got their war restrictions on everything. They can't have it both ways.
Well, there's still a lot of profiteering.
You've got to let business find its own level. The more interference, the worse it is.
The worse for who?
For everybody.
I doubt it.
Well, you're working in the town hall, aren't you? You can't learn much about these things there, you know.
I say, you three must have been terribly good in the charade, weren't you?
No, we were not very good.
Oh, they were awful. Well, you weren't too bad, Mr. Beavers, especially for a man who was doing a charade in a strange house.
No, I call that handsome, Miss Carroll.
The whole word now, pussyfoot. It's supposed to be a party in America, and we can't have anything to drink. Oh, we won't bother dressing up for this. Just some good acting. I'll say the word. Oh, Joan, tell Mad she's in this. Just the girls for the grand finale.
Oh, so we're sacked.
Yes, no good.
Oh, good. Well, we can have a drink. We've earned a drink, haven't we? Any dancing afterwards?
Oh, there might be after Mother's done her singing.
Oh, good. Do you dance, Beavers?
No, never had time for it.
Well, then we must have some dancing, Gerald.
You coming, Alan?
What's that? It's Robin! Oh!
Hello, kids! Hazel! Kay, many happies. Carol, my old auntie. Gosh, I've had a dash to get here in time. Did half the journey on one of our lorries. And I didn't forget the occasion, Kay.
Oh!
What about that?
Oh! Oh!
It's all right.
Robin! Oh, it's lovely!
That's the stuff to give 'em. And I've finished. Out. Demobbed at last.
Oh, grand! Have you seen Mother?
Of course I have, you chump. You should have seen her face when I told her I was a civilian again. Golly, we're going to have some fun now, aren't we?
Lots and lots.
Have you seen Alan?
Just for a second. Still the solemn old bird, isn't it?
In my opinion, Alan was a very wonderful person.
I know you always thought that, didn't you? Can't quite see it myself, but I'm very fond of the old duffer. How's the writing, Kay?
Oh, I'm still trying, learning.
That's the stuff. We'll show 'em. This is where the Conways really begin.
Yes!
How many young men, Hazel?
Oh, nobody to speak of.
She'd worked her way up to colonels, hadn't you, Hayes?
Now that it's civilians, she's having to change her technique, and she's a bit uncertain.
All jealousy, that, isn't it, Hazel?
Isn't this nice? Now we're all here. I knew somehow you were coming, though you didn't let us know, you naughty boy.
Come on, you two. We can collect Madge out there.
Is there everything there you want, Robin?
Oh, yes, thank you, Mother. Gosh, you don't know what it feels like to be out at last.
Oh, don't I, you silly boy? What do you think I feel like to have you back at last for good?
I must get some clothes.
Yes, some really nice ones. I wish you could go on wearing that uniform. You look so smart in it. Poor Alan, he was only a sergeant or something, you know, and he had the most awful uniform. Alan never looked right in the army.
It's got a piffling sort of job at the town hall, hasn't it?
Yes, he seems to like it, though. It might lead to something better later on.
I've got all sorts of plans, you know, Mother. We've all been talking things over in the mess, and one of our chaps knows Jimmy White. You know, the Jimmy White. You've heard of him. And he thinks that he can wangle me an introduction to him. My idea is something in the car and motorbike line. I understand him, and I've heard that people are buying like mad. And I have my gratuity, you know.
Yes. Well, we can talk about that later. We've plenty of time now, you know. Don't you think the girls are looking well?
Yes, first rate. Especially Hazel.
Oh, Hazel. She's the one everyone notices. Madge is teaching, you know, and she's hoping for a better school.
Good old Madge. I think I ought to go up to town for my clothes, Mother. Can't get anything really decent in Newlingham. I'm going to start selling cars, and I ought to look like a chap who knows a good suit when he sees one. Lord, it's grand to be back again. Not just on filthy little leave. Hey, Mother, steady. Nothing to cry about, no?
I know. It's just that losing your father and then the war coming, taking you. I'm not used to happiness. I'd forgotten it. It's upsetting. Oh, Robin, now you are back. Don't go away, promise me. Don't leave us, not for years and years. Oh, let's all be cozy together and happy again, shall we?
Of course.
Oh, Mrs. Conway, they finished the charades and some people are going, and Madge asked me to tell you they're expecting you to sing something.
Why couldn't she tell me herself?
Oh, she and Kay and Carol started handing people sandwiches and things as soon as they finished the charade.
Hello, Joan.
Hello, Robin. Is it nice to be back?
Yes, of course.
Really, this is an awful mess. I knew it would be. Joan, go and tell the girls she must take these things upstairs. Perhaps you'd like to help them, dear.
Oh, yes, rather.
You're looking very artful, Mother.
Am I? Not feeling very artful. Joan's grown into a nice-looking girl, hasn't she?
Quite.
She has a very pleasant, easy disposition. She's not very clever or go ahead or anything, but a thoroughly nice girl.
Yes, I'll bet she is.
They're all panting for a song, Mother. They don't even mind if it's German.
Well, thank goodness I didn't stop singing German songs. What have Schumann and Schubert got to do with Hindenburg and the Kaiser?
Well, he guessed the charade just because it was Pussyfoot, but they hadn't guessed any of the syllables.
Robin, come with me. I may want you and Anne to help me move the piano.
Righto!
Kay? Have you suddenly been inspired?
No, not really. But I'm bursting with all kinds of feelings and thoughts and impressions, you know.
Yes, so am I. Millions and millions. I could possibly begin to write them.
No, but in my novel, a girl goes to a party, you see, and there are some things I've been feeling, oh, very subtle things that I know she'd feel. And I want my novel to be very real this time, so I had to scribble them down.
Will you tell me them afterwards?
Yes.
Bedroom?
Yes, if you're not too sleepy.
I couldn't be. Kay, I think you're wonderful.
I think life's wonderful.
Both of you are.